Whoa, whoa, hold on, wait, hold on, wait, hold on. I had to get back to my roots. The hero of charity, the son of the sun god, Karna. Let's get off into his strengths. We'll start off with something light. Going into Apocrypha, you have the statement where Karna is one of the few servants that would be able to sever an entire plane with his spear alone. You guys have no idea the amount of shaft that was done in his fight against the original Siegfried. He was able to stab Siegfried not once, but 78 times, each time being a vital point on his body. This reminds me of Kurisugu and Kirei. I can't tell what's more impressive, the fact that he pulled it off or the fact that Siegfried tanked it. It further goes on to tell us that with the amount of force that he put behind his lance, Siegfried's eyes should have been gouged out and his arms should have been chopped suey. Keep in mind that Siegfried is wearing his armor that makes him invulnerable to every hit that's B rank or lower. And yet you have Karna, while he does have an A rank spear, it tells us that the only reason he got past Siegfried's armor is because of his spear strength and the quality of his technique. It's been said that they clashed over 10,000 times and they were both covered with over 1,000 wounds, still managing to push through it. This is on top of Siegfried getting healed by his master in the background. Let's not forget to mention, and this is still crazy to this day, they were fighting for several hours straight. They even went as far to say that they could fight for at least 3 days straight without getting tired and they'd still keep going. The only reason they did stop is because they were forced to. In the time that they did fight against each other, they devastated the entire area, including the highway next to them. It was described that their shockwaves were so powerful that it looked as if a meteorite landed. Joan of Arc herself, witnessing Karna's destruction, believes that he can burn an entire forest to the ground on his own. She also mentions that if a bridge was there, it would have been leveled all the same. We've seen him block Siegfried's attack with his back turned, both of them, especially Karna, going at extraordinary speeds that couldn't be discerned. Neither one of them using their phantasm the entire time. When he went against Vlad, he ignored the damage of the stakes and the flames. Vlad was being boosted by the territory of Romania to keep up with Karna as a demigod in the first place. The odds were in Vlad's favor, and it still wasn't enough. You have his armor phantasm that was given to him by his father Tsiah that reduces 90% of any of the damage that he takes. This man is tanking everything. It got to the point where Vlad had to give his props when he seen how many stakes Karna was able to deal with. Karna managed to break 1,000 stakes, burn 800, and stop 2,000 of them with the power of his armor. 3,800 stakes that can impale you instantly, and he was still ready to go. He has great awareness. He was able to deduce the fact that Vlad was getting a boost despite having nobody tell him that was the case. If you look into the manga, he pierced through Vlad's body 4 times, Vlad being lucky enough to sustain due to him having his boost. He was able to tank a hit from Galatine straight to the chest. You have to consider the fact that Gawain's master was Leo, who trumped everybody in that timeline. Meanwhile, Karna only had Jinako, who specifically said to be third rate. For at least half the fight, in order to conserve his energy, he wasn't even using his spear. Gawain had Galatine and Karna was fighting him with his bare hands. He was blocking Gawain's Galatine with his gauntlets. What is happening right now? When Karna finally did pull out his spear, he kept up with Gawain's attacks despite him being an expert swordsman. In his fight against Violet in Fate Extra CCC, she was astonished by his speed and his overall raw power, pushing her back with little effort at all. This is coming from a high servant with 3 spirits inside of her, including Medusa. In Fate Extella Link, he was able to instantly block Gilles de Rais's attack that was going for Altera with no warning. In Lost Bell Belt 4. Despite Arjuna being an incredible warrior and a demigod himself, he fused with every deity from the Hindu pantheon, except Ganesha and Kama. This includes the primordials, Shiva and Vishnu. That being said, he was appalled that it still wasn't enough to beat Super Karna. Meanwhile, Karna only had Shiva, Vishnu, and Ashwatthama's spirit core. You thought 3 days was ridiculous. Karna trained with Ashwatthama thousands of times in preparation for this battle. Ashwatthama being just as skilled, if not better, depending on who you ask. Looking over at Apocrypha, due to Karna's past of him being such a charitable person, he has some of the most ridiculous willpower in the entirety of Fate. You have statements claiming that his sheer will is one of his strongest aspects. Fighting against Vlad, when he had his insides gouged out, when he had the nerves in his arms get severed, when he was enduring pain by using the fire from his monoburst as a means to hold on. It actually harms him to use the move, and he's using it through the entire fight, just enduring the pain. Because of his ties as a demigod, he has been granted an elite spear that matches up with his prowess. It comes at an abnormally massive size. It's been said that even the king of gods wouldn't be able to wield this spear. Despite all of this, Karna is bending the knee for no one. When Semiramis tried to downplay him and get inside his head, it did nothing to him. This tells us that the mental gymnastics will not have any effects on Karna. Don't even waste your time. From his fight against Vlad, we know that he is immune to external hits from flames. In his fight against Gawain, he was able to survive a dead-on blast from Galatine on top of Gawain raising his strength prior to the attack. This also was due to his willpower. Even at the end of Lost Belt 4, when Karna's spirit origin was completely eliminated, he was able to manifest through sheer willpower. They couldn't believe it. In Fate Extella, he tanked a hit from Charlemagne unarmed, showing no signs of damage. It looked as if he wasn't even bothered. So you're choosing to die is what you're telling me. He was able to dodge Spartacus at point blank range. He used his spear as a propeller against Violet to adapt to her whip-like attacks. He tanked 3 arrows head on from Arjuna in his regular form. He is not the type to normally hold back in a fight, evidenced by the fact that he refused to go easy on Joan of Arc. He had her shook. He's not trying to fight me, he's trying to one-shot me. No questions asked. His spear thrusts come out so fast and in such a large quantity that it looks like a stone wall. Going up against Vlad, he was able to approach him at a speed that looked as if he was teleporting. He was easily able to make haste against Passion Lip and dodge her attack. When Gawain tried to attack him, Karna jumped on top of the roof, completely disappearing from Gawain's line of sight. You have the American singularity, where Karna was able to snatch Edison's elixir before he even got the chance to use it in a matter of seconds. When the two sides met up in Semiramis' temple, Karna was able to snatch Analanna's arrow straight out of the air at point blank range. You're gonna have to try a little harder than that. In that same scene, he was able to block Chiron's arrow with his spear, even though both servants are revered for their skills in archery. He is fortunate enough to have his discernment of the poor skill, allowing him to see through a person's deception, being actively shown using this against Bibi. You try to trick Karna and you're only going to be playing yourself. He is a master when it comes to technique and martial arts. In his profile, it tells us that his skills can be ranked one of the highest out of all the servants. When he went against Vampire Vlad, his flame prana burst was enough to burn Vlad alive, outright disregarding the boost to his endurance. He can summon his flames in the palm of his hands and manipulate them to spit fireballs as projectiles if he wants to. He was shown manifesting magical magical spears when he was fighting the possession version of Siegfried, caging him from several angles. Joan mentioned that he is a danger beyond compare. He told Joan and Siegfried, y'all can't see me, I will fight both of you at the same time. Who wants these hands? When you talk about the greats, it would be absurd to leave Karna out the conversation. Roman himself said that Karna's spirit origin is off the charts. Once again, you have Violet praising his skill with the spear, saying that he is so effortless with his movement that the trees around them might as well not even be there. Even on the verge of death, he had Violet convinced that he was fighting at full power. In Fate Extra, it tells us that even Gilgamesh would have to concede to some degree to his power. In the Temple of Semiramis, Karna was the only one who was able to sense that Mordred was coming, being the only one who was unbothered when she came in the room. When he fought against Siegfried, their mere contact alone was scorching all of the earth around them. He easily deflected Siegfried's shockwave, the same shockwave that was able to slice an entire metal pole in half. In Apocrypha, he is stated to have the greatest defense in the entire war. When he fought against the possession version of Siegfried, he was tanking his Balmung's Phantasm over and over again, despite it being reinforced with galvanism. In his fight against Arjuna, Arjuna fused all of his divine spirits into his weapon, and Karna was able to tank them all for 5 seconds by just wearing his golden armor. The great hero Rama mentioned that what he accomplished was on par with holding off the ocean itself with his bare hands. That out of all the heroes in history, only a few would have been able to pull this off. And of course, how can you forget about his Brahmastra? As long as he's stronger than the enemy, he can invoke the power of Brahma and incinerate whatever falls in front of him. He blew off a portion of Vlad's entire body when they were fighting. Again, his Phantasm Brahmastra Kundala that he used against Possession Siegfried. He was able to level the entire area by throwing this towards the earth. Everything around them was destroyed from miles on in. Facing off against Charlemagne, he tells him that his attack Vasavi Shakti might as well be extinction itself, and although he had an extra energy source, he summoned the power of Indra and annihilated Charlemagne through his Phantasm, Arjuna being defeated alongside him. When he does this against Possession Siegfried, he destroys everything that's around him just from bringing it out. Unless you have the same plot armor as Sig, this might end really bad for you. In Lost Belt 4, using his regular form, Karna mentions how he could casually wipe out a town with no resistance. He also mentioned that he could casually level a mountain if he wanted. He has the advantage of being able to fly if it comes to that situation. This is thanks to his unique flame monoburst. Many servants need a command spell for this. Karna's got you covered. He beat Li Shuwen, who is literally a spear arts master. He was praised by Altera, one of the strongest in the franchise, defeating her as well. He took on the alien white titan who, in his own words, is stronger than the primordial deity Vishnu. And then in the fifth singularity, he cut through an entire vehicle like it was a piece of paper. When you're going up against the gods, this is a completely different battle. These servants are lucky. Karna was nerfed to fit into Fate, and he's still stronger than majority of them. In fact, Lost Belt 4 is a great showcase of this. On the flip side, I gotta say his main disadvantage would of course be his mana consumption. One of the main reasons he didn't use his Phantasm against Gawain from the start is that his sheer mana consumption would take a great toll on his master. High trade-off to fuel this level of power. Do you really have to ask? I gotta hit this man with the A rank. Extremely powerful, a very rare, calm and collected state of mind, and an iron fortitude that's willing to die for. Who do we stop sleeping on next? Let me know in the comments, like the video, and I will be back with more Type Moon content.